Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Our first story is titled, Husband cheated on me with my sister, and now he's miserable and wants me back. I thought I had a perfect life. I was happily married to my college sweetheart, Bill, and we had just bought our dream home in the suburbs. I had a fulfilling career as a pediatric nurse, and Bill was climbing the corporate ladder at a prestigious law firm. We were talking about starting a family soon. Everything seemed picture perfect. My younger sister, Cecilia, had always been a bit of a wild child compared to me. While I was the responsible, studious one, Cecilia was more carefree and impulsive. But we were close despite our differences, and I loved her dearly. She had been going through a rough patch after a bad breakup, so I invited her to stay with us for a while to get back on her feet. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. Cecilia and Bill started spending a lot of time together when I was working late shifts at the hospital. They'd stay up watching movies or playing video games long after I went to bed. I noticed lingering glances and inside jokes between them, but I trusted them both completely and brushed off any suspicions as paranoia. Then came the day that shattered my world. I came home early from work, excited to surprise Bill for our anniversary. As I walked in the front door, I heard strange noises coming from upstairs. My stomach dropped as I climbed the stairs, praying I was mistaken about what I was hearing. I wasn't. I opened our bedroom door to find Bill and Cecilia tangled up in our bed together. The look of shock and guilt on their faces is seared into my memory forever. "Kylie!" Bill exclaimed, scrambling to cover himself. "This isn't... I can explain." Cecilia burst into tears. "I'm so sorry, Kylie. We never meant for this to happen." I felt like I was in a nightmare. My legs gave out and I collapsed on the floor, struggling to breathe through my sobs. How could the two people I trusted most in the world betray me like this? The next few days passed in a blur. Bill begged for forgiveness, swearing it was a one-time mistake and that he loved me. Cecilia packed her bags and left, still crying and apologizing. I felt numb, going through the motions in a daze. After a week of agonizing, I told Bill I wanted a divorce. He broke down crying. "Please, Kylie, don't do this," he pleaded. "I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. We can work through this." I shook my head, my voice cold. "You didn't make a mistake, Bill. You made a choice. You chose to betray me in the worst possible way with my own sister. I'll never be able to trust you again." He tried to argue, but I had made up my mind. I packed a bag and went to stay with my best friend, Amy. She was furious when I told her what happened. "That lying, cheating scumbag," she fumed. "And your sister? I can't believe it. You're better off without both of them, Kylie." I filed for divorce and moved out of our house permanently. Bill continued to call and text, begging for another chance. I blocked his number. Cecilia tried reaching out too, but I couldn't bear to speak to her. The hurt and betrayal were too raw. The divorce proceedings were messy. Bill tried to lowball me on the settlement, claiming I wasn't entitled to much since we didn't have kids, but I had an amazing lawyer who fought hard for me. In the end, I got the house and a substantial alimony payment. "You made your bed, now lie in it," I told Bill coldly on the day the divorce was finalized. He looked utterly defeated. "I know, I screwed up, Kylie. I'm so sorry. I miss you every day." I turned and walked away without another word. The months after the divorce were incredibly difficult. There were days I could barely get out of bed, consumed by grief and anger. But slowly, with the help of therapy and an amazing support system, I started to heal and rebuild my life. I threw myself into my work, taking on extra shifts to stay busy. I joined a support group for people dealing with infidelity, which helped me process my emotions in a healthy way. I started volunteering at an animal shelter on weekends, finding comfort in caring for the abandoned pets. Gradually, I rediscovered myself as an individual, not just someone's wife. I took up painting again, a hobby I'd abandoned years ago. I traveled solo for the first time, taking a restorative trip to a beachside yoga retreat. I made new friends and strengthened bonds with old ones who had stood by me. A year after the divorce, I was in a much better place emotionally. I felt stronger and more confident than ever before. That's when Bill showed up at my door unannounced. He looked terrible, gaunt and disheveled, with dark circles under his eyes. "Kylie, please, can we talk?" he begged. Against my better judgment, I let him in. We sat in awkward silence for a moment before he spoke. "I'm so sorry for what I did," he said, his voice cracking. "I was stupid and selfish, and I threw away the best thing in my life. I've been miserable without you. Please, can we try again? I still love you." I studied him for a moment, remembering the man I once loved. But that man was gone, replaced by someone I could never trust again. "No, Bill," I said firmly. "What we had is over. I've moved on with my life, and you need to do the same." "But I've changed," he protested. "I've been in therapy. I'm a different person now. I know I can make you happy if you just give me a chance." I shook my head. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't about you changing or making promises. You broke something fundamental between us. I could never look at you the same way or trust you again. The damage is done." He left that day, defeated but still determined. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Bill's attempts to win me back were just beginning. Over the next few months, Bill's efforts to reconcile became increasingly desperate. He sent flowers to my workplace every week, with heartfelt notes begging for another chance. He emailed long letters detailing how much he had changed and how miserable he was without me. He even tried to enlist our mutual friends to plead his case. I remained firm in my decision, but it was emotionally draining. Every time I saw his name pop up in my inbox or received another delivery at work, it reopened old wounds. I had to constantly remind myself why I couldn't go back, why I deserved better. Meanwhile, I continued to focus on my own growth and happiness. I got a promotion at work, becoming the head nurse of the pediatric unit. I also decided to go back to school part-time to get my master's degree in nursing administration. It was challenging, balancing work and studies, but I was determined to push myself and expand my horizons. About 6 months after Bill's first visit, I ran into him at a friend's community club event. He looked even worse than before. Unshaven, clothes rumpled, with a haunted look in his eyes. "Kylie," he said, his voice hoarse, I didn't expect to see you here." "Hello, Bill," I replied cautiously. "How are you?" He let out a bitter laugh. "Honestly, I'm a mess. I lost my job at the firm. Turns out sleeping with your wife's sister doesn't go over well with the partners. I'm working at a small practice now, barely making ends meet, but none of that matters compared to losing you." I felt a pang of empathy despite everything. "I'm sorry to hear that, Bill, but you made your choices. We both have to live with the consequences." "I know," he said, his eyes filling with tears. "But Kylie, I love you. I'll do anything to make this right. Please, just give me one more chance." I shook my head firmly. "I'm sorry, Bill, but no. What we had is gone. I've moved on, and you need to do the same." As I turned to leave, he called out desperately, "I'll wait for you, Kylie, no matter how long it takes. I'll prove to you that I've changed." I walked away, my heart heavy. Despite everything, a small part of me ached seeing him in such pain, but I knew I had made the right decision for myself. Over the next year, Bill's life continued to spiral while mine flourished. Through mutual friends, I heard that he had started drinking heavily. He lost his new job due to unreliability and was struggling financially. Meanwhile, I was thriving in my career and personal life. I completed my master's degree and was offered a prestigious position as a nursing administrator at a renowned children's hospital in a different city. It was an incredible opportunity, one that would advance my career significantly. I decided to take it, seeing it as a chance for a fresh start in a new place. The night before I was set to move, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Bill standing there, swaying slightly and reeking of alcohol. "Kylie," he slurred, "please don't go. I can't live without you." "Bill, you're drunk," I said, keeping my distance. "You shouldn't be here." "I know I messed up," he continued, ignoring my words. "But I love you. I've always loved you. Everything's falling apart without you. Please, just one more chance." I felt a mix of pity and frustration. "Bill, listen to me. We're over. We have been for a long time. You need to accept that and move on with your life." "But I can't," he cried, his voice breaking. "You're everything to me, Kylie. I'll do anything. Please, just tell me what I need to do to fix this." I took a deep breath, steeling myself. "What you need to do is get help, Bill. Not for me, but for yourself. You're destroying your life and it needs to stop. Go to rehab, continue with therapy, rebuild your career, but do it for you, not in hopes of getting me back." He stared at me for a long moment, tears streaming down his face. Then, without warning, he turned and stumbled away into the night. I closed the door, leaning against it as I tried to calm my racing heart. It was a stark reminder of why I needed this fresh start. The next day, I left for my new life in a new city. As I drove away, I couldn't help but think about Bill. I hoped he would take my advice and get the help he needed, but I also knew that his healing journey wasn't my responsibility. I had my own life to live. My new job was challenging but incredibly rewarding. I threw myself into the work, implementing new protocols that improved patient care and staff satisfaction. I made new friends, joined a local hiking club, and even started dating again, casually at first, but still wary of getting too emotionally invested. About 6 months into my new life, I received an unexpected email from Bill. My first instinct was to delete it unread, but curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Kylie," it began, "I know you probably don't want to hear from me, and I understand if you delete this without reading further. But I wanted to let you know that I've finally taken your advice. I'm writing this from rehab. I've been here for a month and it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I'm doing it, not because I think it will bring you back to me, but because I finally realize I need to fix myself. I'm sorry for all the pain I caused you and for my behavior after our divorce. You deserve so much better. I hope you're happy in your new life. I won't contact you again unless you want me to. I just wanted you to know that your words that night finally got through to me. Thank you for that final kindness, even though I didn't deserve it. Take care, Kylie." I sat back, processing the email. I felt a sense of relief knowing that Bill was finally getting help. I wrote a brief reply congratulating him on taking this step and wishing him well in his recovery. Then I closed my laptop and went about my day, feeling lighter somehow. As the months passed, I continued to thrive in my new life. I was promoted to director of nursing, overseeing multiple departments. I completed a triathlon, something I'd always wanted to do but never had the confidence for before. I even started casually seeing a kind, funny pediatrician named David. One day, about 2 years after I'd moved, I received another email from Bill. He was doing well, he said. He'd completed rehab and was maintaining his sobriety. He found a new job at a small nonprofit law firm, helping underprivileged clients. It wasn't as prestigious or high-paying as his old corporate job, but he found it far more fulfilling. "I know we can never go back to what we were," he wrote, And I finally accepted that. I just wanted to thank you again for the wake-up call you gave me that night. You were right. I needed to fix myself for me, not for anyone else. I hope you're happy, Kylie. You deserve it. As I read his words, I felt a sense of closure I hadn't even realized I was missing. The anger and pain I'd carried for so long had faded, replaced by a calm acceptance. Bill and I had both moved on with our lives in our own ways. That night, as I got ready for a date with David, I caught sight of myself in the mirror. I barely recognized the strong, confident woman smiling back at me. She was a far cry from the broken, betrayed wife I had been just a few years ago. I thought about the journey I'd been on, the pain, the growth, the self-discovery. I thought about Bill and how his desperate attempts to win me back had ultimately led him to the rock bottom he needed to hit before he could truly change. I thought about how sometimes the end of one chapter is necessary for the beginning of a better one. As I left my apartment, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the strength I'd found within myself, for the new life I'd built, and even for the painful experiences that had led me here. I was exactly where I was meant to be. The future stretched out before me, full of possibilities. I didn't know exactly what it held, but I knew one thing for certain. Whatever challenges came my way, I had the strength and resilience to face them. The betrayal that I once thought had broken me beyond repair had actually set me free to discover my own strength, to pursue my dreams without compromise, and to build a life filled with purpose and genuine connections. As I stepped out into the cool evening air, ready for my date, I smiled to myself. This was just the beginning of my story, and I couldn't wait to see where the journey would take me next. Life has a funny way of surprising us. The things we think will break us often become the very experiences that make us stronger. My journey through betrayal, heartbreak, and healing had transformed me in ways I never could have imagined. I had emerged on the other side not just whole, but better, more resilient, more self-aware, and more capable of genuine happiness. As for Bill, I hope he would find peace and purpose in his new path. His desperate attempts to win me back had been painful for both of us, but they had ultimately led him to the rock bottom he needed to hit before he could truly change. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to find yourself. My own path forward was bright with promise. I had a fulfilling career, wonderful friends, and a budding romance with a man who respected and valued me. More importantly, I had a deep sense of self-worth and purpose that no one could take away. The woman who had once defined herself by her roles as wife and sister was gone. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who knew her own worth, someone who was excited about the endless possibilities that lay ahead. As I talk towards my future, I feel a profound sense of peace and excitement. The pain of betrayal had transformed into a source of strength. The end of my marriage, which once seemed like the end of my world, had become the catalyst for a beautiful new beginning. I realize now that true happiness doesn't come from another person or a perfect relationship. It comes from within, from self-love, personal growth, and the courage to pursue your dreams. I had found that happiness on my own, and it was more fulfilling than I could ever have imagined. The road ahead might have its bumps and challenges, but I knew I could face anything. I had emerged from the darkest period of my life stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever before. Whatever the future held, I was ready for it, on my own terms, in my own way. As the sun set on my old life and rose on the new, I felt a surge of excitement for the unknown adventures that awaited me. This was my story now, and I couldn't wait to write the next chapter. Here are my thoughts about the story. The journey this woman went through, I found myself rooting for her from the get-go. When she walked in on Bill and Cecilia, I swear I felt my own heart shatter. It's like, that sinking feeling you get when you realize you've left your phone at home. Multiply that by 1,000,000 and you might come close to what Kylie must have felt in that moment. But here's the thing that really got me. Kylie's strength. I mean, how many of us would have the guts to walk away from a cheating spouse, especially when they are begging for forgiveness? I'll be honest, I've been in toxic relationships before, haven't we all? And it's so easy to fall for the "I've changed" spiel. But Kylie, nah, she stood her ground like a boss. And let's talk about Bill for a hot second. At first, I wanted to reach through my screen and give him a good shake. Like, dude, you had it all and you threw it away for what? A fling with your sister-in-law? Come on. But as the story progressed, I found myself feeling not sympathy exactly, but something close to it. Don't get me wrong, what he did was unforgivable, but watching him spiral downwards, desperately trying to win Kylie back, it was like watching a car crash in slow motion. It's going to end badly, but you can't look away. What really struck me was how Kylie's rejection became the catalyst for Bill's rock bottom and eventual redemption. It's like sometimes you need to lose everything to realize what you had. But by then, it's too late. Life doesn't come with a rewind button. Now, I've got to give major props to the author for not giving us the cliche happy ending where Kylie takes Bill back. Because let's face it, in real life, trust once broken is like a shattered mirror. You can try to piece it back together, but you always see the cracks. Kylie choosing herself, her career, and her own happiness over the familiar comfort of her old life, that's the real happily ever after, folks. You know what this story reminded me of? It's like when you're playing a video game and you think you've reached the final boss, only to realize it's just the end of the tutorial. Kylie thought her life was over when her marriage ended, but it was really just the beginning of her real adventure. I've got to say, narrating this story made me reflect on my own life choices. It's so easy to get caught up in the idea that we need someone else to complete us. But Kylie's journey shows that true happiness comes from within. It's about becoming the best version of yourself, not for anyone else, but for you. And hey, if you're going through a tough time right now, remember Kylie. Remember that sometimes what feels like the end is really just the beginning of something amazing. You've got this, and there's a whole community here rooting for you. And now, guys, we will move on to the second story of the video. Please like the video if you have enjoyed it so far. The story starts like this. Husband's mistress coached him to be a better husband, and then I nuked their affair. Let me back up and start from the beginning. Connor and I had been married for 12 years, together for 15 total. We met during our sophomore year of college at a mutual friend's party. I was immediately drawn to his quick wit and charming smile. We started dating soon after, and it felt like a whirlwind romance. After graduation, we moved in together and started building our lives. Connor landed a job as a junior software engineer, while I began climbing the ladder in marketing. We got married 2 years later in a beautiful ceremony surrounded by friends and family. I truly believe we were soulmates destined for a lifetime of happiness together. The first decade of our marriage was good, or so I thought. We both had successful careers. I became a marketing executive, and Connor rose through the ranks to become a senior software architect. We bought a beautiful home in the suburbs, took nice vacations, and generally enjoyed life together. We didn't have kids by choice, preferring to focus on our careers and each other. Looking back now, I can see the cracks that were forming, but at the time, I was oblivious. Connor and I both worked long hours, often bringing work home with us. Our conversations revolved around our jobs or mundane household matters. Date nights became less frequent, replaced by evenings spent staring at our respective screens. Intimacy waned too. In the early years, we could barely keep our hands off each other. But as time went on, Sex became routine and infrequent. I chalked it up to the natural progression of a long-term relationship, telling myself it was normal for the passion to cool over time. There were other issues too. Connor could be dismissive of my feelings, often brushing off my concerns or frustrations. He forgot important dates like my birthday or our anniversary more than once. When I'd bring up these issues, he'd apologize and promise to do better, but nothing ever really changed. I see now that I was making excuses for Connor's behavior, rationalizing away the problems in our marriage. I was so invested in the idea of us being the perfect couple that I ignored the reality of our situation. But around year 10, I started noticing subtle changes in Connor. It began with small things. He started texting me during the day just to say he was thinking of me. He'd ask about my day and actually listen to my responses instead of just grunting and nodding. Then came the more noticeable changes. Connor began bringing me flowers for no reason, something he hadn't done since our dating days. He started planning surprise date nights, fancy dinners, concerts, even a weekend getaway to a nearby spa resort. At home, he became more helpful without being asked. He'd do the dishes after dinner, fold the laundry, even deep clean the bathroom. A chore he'd always avoided before. When I mentioned feeling stressed about a big project at work, he gave me a long massage and made me tea. Our sex life improved dramatically too. Connor suddenly became much more attentive and focused on my pleasure. He'd light candles, put on romantic music, and spend ages on foreplay. It was like being with a new man. Now you're probably thinking, why on earth would I be suspicious of my husband being a better partner? Shouldn't I have been thrilled? The thing is, it felt off somehow. The changes seemed to come out of nowhere. When I asked Connor about it, he'd say vague things like, I just want to be a better husband to you, or I realize I need to appreciate you more, but it felt rehearsed, not genuine. I also noticed other changes that set off alarm bells. Connor started working later hours and taking more business trips. He'd come home smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. His phone was suddenly password protected, and he'd angled the screen away when texting. Classic signs of an affair, I know, but I was in denial. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Connor was just trying to be a better husband. I should be grateful, not suspicious. So I pushed my doubts aside and tried to enjoy this new, improved version of my marriage. One day, I mentioned in passing that I'd always wanted to learn to paint. The next week, Connor surprised me with a set of high-quality acrylic paints and canvases. He'd even signed us up for a couple's painting class. Another time, I was swamped with work and hadn't had time to go grocery shopping. I came home expecting to have to order takeout, only to find Connor had not only done the shopping, but had prepared a gourmet meal complete with wine and candles. He started leaving little love notes for me to find in my purse, on the bathroom mirror, tucked into my laptop bag. They were always sweet and complimentary, telling me how beautiful I was or how much he appreciated me. For our anniversary, instead of forgetting like he had the past few years, Connor went all out. He took me to an exclusive restaurant, gifted me a beautiful necklace I've been eyeing, and then whisked me away for a romantic weekend on a luxury hotel. Even our conversations improved. Connor started asking thoughtful questions about my work and offering insightful advice. He'd remember small details I'd mentioned weeks ago and follow up on them. It was like he'd suddenly developed an encyclopedic knowledge of my life and interests. This went on for about 6 months. I was still uneasy, but told myself it was all in my head. Then one night, everything came crashing down. Connor was in the shower and his phone buzzed with a text. Without really thinking about it, I glanced at the screen. The preview showed a message from someone named Ellie that said, "Great job with a surprise date night. She'll never suspect a thing. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, lover." My blood ran cold. This was the proof I'd been subconsciously looking for, but desperately hoping not to find. With shaking hands, I picked up Connor's phone. To my shock, it unlocked with my fingerprint. He must have added it without me realizing. I know snooping through your spouse's phone is wrong, but in that moment, all I cared about was uncovering the truth. I opened his text messages and started reading the conversation with Ellie. What I found was even worse than I imagined. Not only was Connor having an affair, but this woman was actively coaching him on how to be a better husband to me, all to cover up their relationship. There were texts like, Ellie, remember to compliment her outfit tonight. Women love that stuff. Connor, good call. I'll be picking up flowers too. Ellie, smart. Oh, and don't forget to offer to do the dishes. Show her you're helpful around the house. Connor, got it. Thanks, babe. You always know just what to say. Ellie, that's what I'm here for. Gotta keep her happy so she doesn't get suspicious. Then we can keep having our fun. Wink. I felt sick to my stomach. All those thoughtful gestures, the increased affection, it was all an act. A performance designed by his mistress to keep me complacent while they carried on their affair. I kept scrolling, bile rising in my throat. There were hundreds of messages going back months, sexting, declarations of love, plans for secret rendezvous. I learned Ellie was a co-worker of Connor's. That explained all the late nights at the office. The text revealed a level of deception I couldn't have imagined. Ellie had apparently given Connor a whole playbook on how to deceive me. Ellie, when you're with her, put your phone on silent and flip it face down. It'll look less suspicious than always having it in your pocket. Connor, smart thinking. You're so good at this. Ellie, remember to delete your browser history regularly and use incognito mode when you're looking up date ideas or sex tips. Connor, got it. What would I do without you? Ellie, probably get caught, LOL, and don't forget, if you're going to be late coming home from our work meetings, text her in advance with an excuse. It looks more natural that way. They even strategized about how to handle holidays and special occasions. Ellie, for her birthday next month, you should plan something really special. It'll throw her off the scent if you're being extra romantic. Connor, good idea. What do you suggest? Ellie, how about a scavenger hunt around the city, ending with dinner at her favorite restaurant? I'll help you plan it. Connor, that's perfect. You're amazing at this stuff. Ellie, well, I have a vested interest in keeping your wife happy and unsuspicious. Wink. The final straw was finding plans for an upcoming weekend getaway. They were going to a romantic B&B in wine country, the same place Connor and I went for our 10th anniversary. I heard the shower turn off and quickly put the phone back. I was reeling, unsure what to do. Part of me wanted to confront Connor immediately, but the rational part of my brain knew I needed time to process and plan my next move. So I plastered on a fake smile when Connor came out of the bathroom. I somehow got through dinner, making small talk while my mind raced. After Connor went to bed, I stayed up all night thinking. By morning, I had a plan. I was going to gather irrefutable evidence, confront them both, and then nuke their little affair from orbit. They wanted to play games? Fine, but I was going to win. Over the next week, I turned into a secret agent. I installed a hidden camera in our bedroom and put a GPS tracker on Connor's car. I hired a private investigator to follow them and take photos. I went through our phone records and credit card statements with a fine-toothed comb. Meanwhile, I pretended everything was normal. I acted thrilled by Connor's continued thoughtfulness, all while seething inside. It was exhausting keeping up the charade, but I knew I had to play the long game. Finally, I had what I needed, photos and video of them together, hotel receipts, incriminating text messages. It was time to confront them. I decided to do it at Connor's office. I knew Ellie worked there too, so I could kill two birds with one stone. Plus, I wanted witnesses. That Friday, I took a half day from work and headed to Connor's company. I confidently strode past reception saying I was surprising my husband for lunch. I made my way to the software development department where Connor worked. I spotted him immediately, sitting at his desk. Ellie was perched on the ledge, leaning in close as they looked at something on his computer. My blood boiled at how cozy and familiar they looked. I marched up to them, my heels clicking loudly on the tile floor. Heads turned as I approached. Connor looked up, his eyes widening in shock. "Honey, what are you doing here?" he stammered. I smiled sweetly. "Oh, I just thought I'd surprise you for lunch." "Hello, Ellie. So nice to finally meet you." Ellie paled visibly. Nice to meet you too," she mumbled. I turned back to Connor. "Darling, remember how you've been such a wonderful, attentive husband lately? All those sweet gestures and date nights?" He nodded slowly, confusion evident on his face. I continued, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Well, I just wanted to thank Ellie here for all her helpful coaching. You've done a marvelous job teaching my husband how to deceive me." The color drained from both their faces. Connor started to speak, but I held up a hand to silence him. "No, please, let me finish. I know all about your little affair. The secret meetings, the romantic getaways. Did you really think I was that stupid? By now, we had the rapt attention of the entire office. People were openly staring and whispering. I didn't care. I wanted an audience for this. I pulled out my phone and started playing one of the recordings I'd captured. Connor and Ellie's voices filled the air. "I love you, Ellie. I've never felt this way about anyone, not even my wife." "I love you too, Connor. We belong together just a little longer, and we can be together for real." I let it play for a few moments before shutting it off. Connor and Ellie looked shell-shocked. "I have hours more where that came from," I said coldly. "Photos too. Would you like me to show everyone the lovely pictures of you two at that hotel last week?" "Please," Connor whispered. "Not here. Can we talk about this privately?" I laughed harshly. "Privacy? That's rich coming from you. No, I don't think so. You didn't care about my privacy when you were sharing details of our marriage with your little girlfriend here. Why should I grant you that courtesy?" I turned to address our captive audience. "Everyone, I just wanted you all to know that Connor here has been having an affair with Ellie for months. They've been sneaking around, lying to me, making a fool of me. Well, the jig is up." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. I saw a few people pull out their phones, no doubt to record the drama or text others about it. Good. I wanted this to spread. "Oh, and Ellie," I added, "I hope it was worth it. I've already sent evidence of your affair to HR and Connor's boss. I expect you'll both be looking for a new job soon. Fraternization between co-workers is against company policy, isn't it?" Ellie burst into tears and ran from the room. Connor just stood there, seemingly paralyzed. I pulled my wedding ring off and slammed it on his desk. "I'll be contacting a divorce lawyer this afternoon. Don't bother coming home. I've already had the locks changed. You can send someone for your things next week." With that, I turned on my heel and walked out, head held high. As I left, I heard the whispers and mutters behind me. Connor's career and reputation were in shambles. It was deliciously satisfying. The next few months were a whirlwind of lawyer meetings, paperwork, and dividing assets. Connor tried to apologize and beg for another chance, but I shut that down fast. There was no coming back from this level of betrayal. I made sure all our friends and family knew exactly why we were divorcing. I didn't want Connor to be able to spin some story that made him look better. Several people were angry that I'd aired our dirty laundry so publicly. I didn't care. Connor and Ellie's actions had consequences, and I wasn't going to protect them from those consequences. The divorce was finalized 6 months later. I got the house and a hefty settlement since I had proof of Connor's infidelity. He didn't fight it. I think he knew he had no leg to stand on. I later heard through the grapevine that both Connor and Ellie had indeed lost their jobs over the affair. Apparently, several of their co-workers had complained to HR about feeling uncomfortable after witnessing our confrontation. The company decided it was easier to just let them both go. Connor tried to make his relationship with Ellie work after everything blew up. But from what I heard, the trust was broken. She blamed him for not being more careful and letting me find out. He resented her for coaching him, saying it led to them getting caught. They split up less than a year later. As for me, I won't lie and say it was easy. I went through all the stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression. I had to mourn the end of my marriage and the future I thought I had. But ultimately, I came out stronger. I threw myself into my career and got a big promotion. I traveled, took up new hobbies, made new friends. I even started casually dating again after a year or so. Looking back now, I'm almost grateful it all happened. As painful as it was, it freed me from a marriage that clearly wasn't working. Connor may have been going through the motions of being a good husband, but it was all fake. I deserve someone who genuinely wanted to make me happy, not someone play acting at it to cover an affair. It's been 3 years now since D-Day. That's what us betrayed spouses call the day we discovered the affair. I'm in a much better place, both personally and professionally. I'm dating a wonderful man who treats me with genuine love and respect. Meanwhile, last I heard, Connor was still single and struggling to rebuild his career. Ellie had moved to another state to escape the scandal. Their affair may have imploded, but the fallout was lasting. I won't say I'm glad it happened, but I am glad I found out the truth, stood up for myself, and moved on to a happier life. Sometimes you have to go through hell to get to heaven. If there's one thing I learned from this whole ordeal, it's to trust your instincts. Deep down, I knew something was off with Connor's sudden change in behavior. I should have listened to that inner voice sooner. I also learned the importance of having firm boundaries and consequences. By exposing their affair so publicly, I ensured Connor and Ellie faced real repercussions for their actions. It wasn't about revenge, it was about holding them accountable. Finally, I learned that it's possible to rebuild and find happiness again after betrayal. For a while, I thought my life was over. I couldn't imagine ever trusting or loving again. But with time and a lot of therapy, I healed. I'm happier and more fulfilled now than I ever was with Connor. To anyone else dealing with infidelity, know that you're stronger than you think. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to make them face consequences. And it's okay to walk away and choose yourself. You deserve honesty, respect, and a genuine love. Accept nothing less. Looking back, I can laugh at the absurdity of it all. My husband's mistress inadvertently made him a better husband for a while. But her coaching also led me discovering their deception. In trying to cover their tracks, they only dug themselves in deeper. I've often wondered what Ellie was thinking. Did she really believe she was doing me a favor by making Connor treat me better? Or was it all a calculated move to avoid suspicion? Either way, it backfired spectacularly. It might just be me getting my petty vengeance, but I think that there's a certain poetic justice to it all. Their elaborate deception is what ultimately exposed them. If they had just been honest, ended our marriage first before starting a new relationship, things might have turned out differently. But they chose lies and manipulation instead. In the end, I'm the one who came out on top. I lost a cheating husband, but gained self-respect and a new lease on life. Connor and Ellie lost their jobs, their reputations, and ultimately each other. Life has a way of working out how it's supposed to. This whole experience taught me that I'm resilient, strong, and deserving of real love. I'm thankful for the lessons, even if the teaching method was brutal. So here's the new beginnings, hard-won wisdom, and the sweet satisfaction of having the last laugh. May we all find the strength to stand up for ourselves and demand better. And may those who try to deceive and manipulate eventually get their cosmic dose of karma. Here are my thoughts about the story. Connor, this dude, I swear, he's out here playing the losing hand thinking he's all slick with his affair and his how to be a better husband playbook. But my man, you're playing checkers while your wife is playing 5D intergalactic backgammon. Like, bro, did you really think you could pull this off? I'm sitting here reading this story and I'm just face palming so hard I might need reconstructive surgery. And Ellie, oh, Ellie, honey, what were you thinking? You're out here giving Connor step-by-step instructions on how to deceive his wife like some twisted relationship coach from hell. I don't know whether to be impressed by your dedication or concerned about your life choices. Maybe a bit of both. But let's talk about the real MVP of this story, our narrator, Connor's soon-to-be ex-wife. This woman, she's not just playing chess, she's Bobby Fischer reincarnated. The way she kept her cool, gathered evidence, and then dropped the bomb in the most public, career-destroying way possible. Perfection in the most petty way possible. I mean, can you imagine being in that office when she walked in? I would have paid good money to see the looks on Connor and Ellie's faces. It must have been like watching a car crash in slow motion, except the car is their lives and careers, and our girl here is just calmly holding the steering wheel. And let's be real, the level of pettiness in exposing them at work, that's the kind of pettiness I aspire to. It's not just petty, it's art. It's the Mona Lisa of pettiness. I'm taking notes for the next time someone crosses me. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you have to sit there and admire the emotional maturity people show in these kinds of situations. But sometimes you just have to embrace the petty. But jokes aside, what really got me about this story is how real it felt. The way she described the slow decay of their marriage, the little things she noticed but brushed off. That hit home. It's a reminder that sometimes our gut feelings are trying to tell us something important. And the aftermath? Man, that was a roller coaster. The grief, the anger, the journey to healing, it all felt so raw and honest. It's a testament to human resilience, you know? How we can go through something so devastating and still come out stronger on the other side. Now, I know some people might think she went too far by exposing them at work. But you know what? After months of being lied to and manipulated, I think she earned the right to a little public spectacle if she wanted to, which she clearly did. Sometimes you gotta fight fire with fire and maybe a flamethrower or two. What I really love about this story is the lesson at the end. Trust your instincts, set firm boundaries, and know your worth. That's some solid life advice right there, folks. And the fact that she came out happier in the end, that's the cherry on top of this revenge Sunday. So, to all you Connors and Ellies out there thinking about cheating, maybe don't. And if you do, for the love of all that is holy, don't let your affair partner coach you on how to be a better spouse. That's just asking for trouble. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you again tomorrow.